to 4C Visions. I'm your host, R.V. Height, Director of Communications at Central Carolina Community College. Today, it is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Emily Hare, Executive Director of the Central Carolina Community College Foundation. A native of Pinehurst, Dr. Hare received her Bachelor in Arts degree from Wake Forest University, her MBA from Pfeiffer University, and her PhD in Higher Education Administration at the University of the Cumberlands. Dr. Hare and her husband Bud have two children, Delaney and Caroline. Well, welcome to 4C Visions. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for having me again today. I'm excited.
Well, we're excited to have you. Emily, tell us a little bit about your journey to CCCC and how you initially found your way here and into your current position.
Okay, well, I will tell you, coming out of Wake Forest, this was, if you had told me that my career would be in higher ed and higher ed fundraising, I would have laughed at you. Partly because I come from a line of educators. My mother was a public school teacher. My grandfather was, and grandmother were both public school teachers. And my grandfather actually went into higher ed fundraising and ran the Piedmont Educational Foundation. It's now known as the Bears Club at Lenoir-Rhyne. So I've kind of followed in his footsteps. But coming out of Wake Forest in '05, job market wasn't great. So I went on and got my master's. While I was there, I'd always had an interest in sports. I worked in sports information while I was at Wake Forest. I was also an athlete on the track team. So sports, I was going into sports. I just wanted to do sports marketing, sports information, just sports. And then interned with the Bobcats for a little while, which led to a job with NASCAR. Worked with NASCAR for 2 years and met my wonderful husband and decided that, you know what? I want to have kids and get married, and knew life on the road with NASCAR wasn't always conducive as a female to doing that. And met him and just through some family connections, landed at Huntington College in Alabama. And I will have to say that the gentleman who introduced me there unfortunately passed away over the weekend. So I do want to send my thoughts and prayers out to the Steele family. I don't know if they'll watch this or not, but wound up at Huntington College in Alabama, but I am a North Carolina native through and through, and knew I needed to come home, and just was looking on Indeed.com, and this came up. And it was actually, it's funny, I Skyped in for my job interview, and I kind of joked because I had on a suit jacket and everything, and I still had on my gym socks. So wound up here, and now have been leading the foundation I'm in my 12th year. Can't believe it's been that fast, but I love my job and I love being here and getting to do what I do.
Well, tell us a little bit about the foundation and a little bit about your job duties here.
Sure. I will tell you a real quick funny story about it too. When I go in this RV, one of my soccer players, her name's Ella Stone, actually has Googled me and has found our old episodes of 4CNC. So I hope she'll Google me again and let her know that I'm giving her a shout out there, because I adore that little girl. But the foundation is the 501c3 branch of the college. So it is my job to seek and find private community investors to donate their financial means to the college. This can be anywhere from private individual donors and families to the companies in the area like Pfizer and Pentair, or to private foundations that I solicit funds for to invest back in the college. Through these funds, we have our endowment and scholarship program, which we provided over $250,000 again for this fiscal year for our student support. It also helps support our James French Dreamkeeper Fund, which is our just-in-time student emergency fund, which is used almost daily by our students. It helps for time-limited documented emergency expenses. So I've helped pay rent, we paid light bills, childcare bills, anything to make sure that we can eliminate that financial barrier for our students. The investors also support the Ruby McSwain Cougar Market and Carter Cupboard, which are our food pantries on our campuses. And then we have our unrestricted funding, which is anything that the college needs that doesn't fit within the budget provided by the state. So, we put bleachers in the gym. We help pay for professional development for our faculty and staff through giving them additional funding so they can seek their higher degrees that they wish. We help put on the career community events that the deans have been putting on. and actually just have another request for funding to support our Minority Male Success Institute. So if you name it, the foundation supports it, and it is my honor and privilege to get to do that.
Let's talk a little bit about the scholarship program. I know that's especially dear to your heart. And how many, let's go over how many scholarships that the foundation normally gives each year and the amount of money, and what kind of scholarships are available to the general public.
Okay. So when you combine both the endowments and the scholarships, we have almost 300 that we're able to award, and it keeps growing. The best part, and a lot of people don't realize this, is you don't have to be rich to give a scholarship. Just $250 can start a scholarship that covers one class for our student. But we roughly, I think it was like 228 students we've helped so far this year. We do go back in and re-award if a student doesn't attend or doesn't meet the criteria when they do register, but we help as many as possible. By the time the year is up, probably have over 350 people that have received some type of scholarship or award throughout the year. And it's just really important that folks realize that, like I said, you don't have to be rich to start a scholarship, but you can do a scholarship for about anything. I have scholarships for single moms. Specifically, my board chair has one named for her. And then she did one for her husband for a City of Stanford employee. I have some for our sustainable ag folks, Chatham County folks, Harnett County. I need a Boys and Girls Club alum. I've got one of those. So it really, actually just started a new one with Dr. Marty Pate, and it's going to be 2 years for a nursing student. And then 2 years, I'm really excited in honor of my friend Tess, for a vet med student. So, it's so broad, it's so open. What if I could tell students is just apply. I have one that literally all you have to be is an enrolled student. Apply. The funds are there to help you. So don't be shy. Don't think you won't qualify. As long as you're enrolled and have a minimum of a roughly a 2.0 GPA, you should be able to receive some type of award.
Well, we talk a lot about scholarships and how important they are for our students, but I'd like to talk a little bit about the James French Fund and talk a little bit about that program and how important is that for CCCC students?
Arby, it's something that when we started it back in 2016, we didn't realize how vital it was going to be to the success of our students. I pulled the statistics the other day, and since July 1st, we've helped over, I think it's like 37 students with almost $20,000 in assistance. It may have been a higher number of students, but the maximum amount the award they can get is $400. But the success rate we have seen for the students that receive that funding, last year alone, it was over a 70% success rate to persist on to the next semester or to graduate. And for a gift of $400 or less, that's a tremendous statistic when you think about the number of students we impact. And like I said, it's not a huge amount of money because we're not here to solve the problem. We're here to get that little Band-Aid, help them leap over that fence and continue on. And most folks, that's all they need. They just need that little nudge that helps them. The lights are kept on, they can study, and they can move on. I've actually spoken to several recipients of the Dreamkeeper Fund who are now out in the real world working. And they were like, that's all I needed, but it got me through, and look where I am today because of it. We really do have to thank Mr. French for getting, he helped get this fund. We taught him the need, and that came about for folks who were unfamiliar with the fund back in 2016 when Hurricane Florence hit. And now I'm watching all these, hurricanes come in again, RV, I get a little nervous. But, students were coming to us saying, I lost all my food when the power went out. I can either pay my tuition bill or refill my groceries. And it was like, whoa, this should not even be an issue. And so, we went to the trustees, and a former VP here, Ms. Scaletti, or Dr. Scaletti, got the fund going. It really took off from there. And then from the James French Dreamkeeper Fund spawned the Cougar Market, which actually started right outside my office on a small shelf. And it's now into a huge room, and we have pantries on all 3 campuses. So, a lot of the programs we have with the foundation are ones that we don't always dream of to start with. But when we see what our students are encountering, we're able to then shift, organize, develop, and create items financially that can help support them. So like I said, I never thought it would have the impact that it does, but we probably grant 2 to 3 Dreamkeeper wishes, I almost want to say, each week. I know this week alone we've done 4. And so it is a steady stream, but it keeps them enrolled, it keeps the students going. And if they can get to graduation and get that job, the change they can make out in society, there's no limit to their possibilities.
So there's many ways that people can help the college. The scholarship funding is extremely important to us, but the Dream Keepers Fund is another way that we help our students to succeed and to have a better life. I want to get into a little bit about our donors, but before we do, you are blessed to have a board of directors who work extremely hard to help the foundation. Talk a little bit about your board and what they do for you.
Okay. I do have a wonderful board, RV. I probably, I brag about it, but I have one of the best foundation boards throughout the state when I talk to my fellow colleagues that are in my position at other institutions. My board chair currently is Linda Turbeville, and you talk about someone who is not bashful to ask for support for our students. Under her term, she's in her third, this will be her third and final year for her term because of COVID. She's not only locked in the biggest gift in foundation history, but she's locked in more scholarships than any previous board chair. And I have had some incredible, incredible board chairs, but she has just knocked it out of the park. And I have folks like Tana Berger, who is here in Lee County, and Chris Ehrenfeld in Chatham County, Parrish Daughtry down in Harnett County, here on my executive committee, Julian Philpott, who's the trustee representative. And, RV, the best part is I go to them, I say, look, we have this, we need to get sonography equipment, or I need to help support this. And they say, okay, we'll get right on it. And, we've expanded our golf tournaments in Harnett and Chatham County to now they are busting at the seams, and that's $20,000 in each one that goes to unrestricted needs of the college, and my board members are the ones out making the phone calls and helping me, make those connections. They are great to send me a name, and then I follow up and make the call, and we take them to lunch, or, we have some interactions. And the donors are well respected and well trusted in the community. And when they go out and ask the folks to invest in something they believe in, then the community folks do truly invest in because they believe what these folks are saying. I mean, they're just a remarkable, remarkable board.
And the golf tournaments have become a major fundraiser event for the foundation. And you've opened those up to 3 different counties that we serve. Talk a little bit about the golf tournaments and how much do they bring into the foundation?
Cool. We just finished Lee County. I tell you, RV, I'm still a little tired from that one, but the 2 in Harnett and Chatham, each one raised $20,000, and the one here in Lee County raised over $30,000. So that's the primary source of funding we have for our unrestricted funds. So which is a set amount each year that we have, and it's based off these golf tournaments, really, truly. But we had a lot of new sponsors this year in all 3 tournaments. And the one thing I heard was, wow, y'all are doing some great work at the college. I didn't realize this. And then once they get involved with the golf tournament, they've realized that, hey, CCCC is doing some pretty awesome things in the community. And we're changing lives, and we're changing communities we live in. And, all of these new companies that are coming in because of the college. So we've got to get that workforce ready. And folks know that, sponsoring a golf team helps them sponsor the local workforce that they can then hire. So it's been great. Like I said, it's exhausting days. And we're excited. They're growing so much in Harnett and Chatham. We're actually going to have to go from 1 shotgun to 2. We do have 2 shotguns here in Lee County. So we're expanding and hoping that means we can bring in more funds to support the college.
Well, another event that the college has each year that is not necessarily a fundraiser, but a way to give back to the community is the Cougar Express. Talk a little bit about that event that comes up every December.
Okay. That's probably my favorite event of the year. I'm a Christmas person. And I took an idea from Huntington that they have a tree lighting and a service of lessons and carols, as they are a religious based institution. And, we brought it here. So let's just have a tree lighting. We had great success. Santa comes, everybody loves it. And then COVID hit, but Santa still wanted to come to Sanford. And so we switched, and Santa said, hey, I'll park my sleigh at the Civic Center, just have folks drive through, and I'll be able to say hey and talk to the kids and interact. It has grown over the past 2 years we've had it, and we're planning to do the same thing. We've gotten such good feedback. So Santa is ready to arrive on December 1st at 5:30 at the Civic Center. His sleigh will be parked up on top. You probably can't see it because it's magical, but we'll have the Polar Express showing. We'll have cookies to give out to the kids. They can submit their letters to Santa. We're hoping to have a few other demonstrations of aerial acrobatics and some other things to keep folks entertained. I've heard the Grinch and Cindy Lou Who will be appearing again this year, along with the conductor who obviously drives the Polar Express. So it's such a feel-good event. I highly encourage the community to come out. Bring your little ones. Everyone has a child at heart. Come out and see Santa, and just just get in the spirit of the holiday season, whether you celebrate Christmas or another one. Even if you don't celebrate Santa, it's just a cheerful event. You get a free cookie, and it makes my heart happy, and I hope that others, it makes their hearts happy as well.
And it'll be a good opportunity to see those future CCCC students who give them a look at the college, and that we are there for them from the time they're small till throughout their adult life, that we offer so many different programs and opportunities for them. So
Exactly.
that's going to be fun. I want to talk to you about your donors. Now, we are blessed to have so many tremendous donors, and I know that so many of them have great stories, the reasons why they give back to the college. And there are many ways to give, and I want to talk a little bit about that. First of all, there's the funding that I know they give you for scholarships and general funds, but there are other ways that they can give to the college as well. So talk a little bit about the way they can give, whether it's money, and it doesn't have to be for a scholarship. They may want a room name for them, or a facility name for them. There's plenty of opportunities for them to give.
Correct. You are correct, Arby. There, like you said earlier, there are endowments and scholarships which are available. They want to start one that is available. As we've mentioned, the James French Dreamkeeper Fund and the Cougar Market are also available for donations. For the Cougar Market, whether it be a financial donation, or if your local church or your nonprofit or your Girl Scout troop or Boy Scout troop or place of work wants to have a food drive, I'm more than happy to coordinate with you so that we can keep our pantry stocked. That's our biggest thing, especially coming up with the holiday season and the college being closed for 2 weeks at Christmas. We really want to make sure that the students have the food available to them. We also have over 300 restricted funds, and these funds come in, about every area of the college. If you want to support automotive restoration or motorcycles or nursing or our AV programs or, our television station, all of those have restricted funds. And the cool thing is you don't have to just give cash. I mean, if you've got $100 million in cash you want to send my way, I'm not going to complain. You can pay via check, credit card, real estate. We've actually had some donations of land, which we then in turn sell to put towards the fund. We also have planned giving opportunities. So if you want to do a planned gift annuity, or potential of leaving us in your will, or doing a life insurance policy, there are multiple ways that we can work with you to have you invest in the college and invest in the area you'd like to. That's the one thing I want folks to know is, if you send me $100, I'm going to respond back to you and say, well, where would you like this to go? It is up to the donor to determine where they would like their funds to be applied. So they have so many different options. And I love bringing people to campus or taking them, around to show them the different areas we have and the different areas they can sponsor. It's just truly phenomenal what we have available here.
Well, and it's been a lot of fun to hear some of these heart-wrenching stories, that not only of those that are helped by these funds, but also the people that give us these funds, our alumni who give back, and just general people who want to recognize people who've either worked at the college or have benefited from an education here. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Actually, our largest gift came in last year from a CCCC alum who just wanted to give back. And that actually started a trend because less than, I think, a week later, I had another alum reach out and say, hey, I'd like to start a scholarship. So, and it's kind of trended, you start to talk to people, and the number of folks in this area that have gone to CCCC, it's amazing, going, hey, that donor actually is an alum. And so we're starting to keep track of who are alums giving back, because they're our success story. they are, while we're able to keep doing what we're doing, it's because we're educating these folks and putting them into good jobs. And the fact that they're making family sustaining wages that can turn around and then reinvest and pay it forward back to the college, that's just something that it takes a special person to be able to do that. And I think when looking at all of my donors, they all have that heart, and you can just tell in their heart that, they know they were blessed, they have the education, and they'd like to return the favor, pay it forward. One of my favorite stories to talk about is a donor actually named Ken Lau. So he came from Vietnam. His sister actually gave up her education to work full time to put him through school. He did not attend CCCC, but he went through, he worked for laser companies, and he went through NC State. And he now, though, has gotten involved with our laser and photonics program. He has started 2 scholarships, one for North Carolina residents, one for non-North Carolina residents. And not only that, he then also comes to all the advisory board meetings, and he is so engaged with our students because his heart is so big. And he wants to make sure that, he's like, I want to make sure they know what they're getting into, that they can overcome any barrier, because he overcame a language barrier, a culture barrier, and a financial barrier to have this tremendous amount of success. And he is just so giving of his time and his financial means to help our students succeed. And it just warms my heart when I think about it, all he does. So you've got donors like that who have just, they care. They really just care about our students. And I think every single one of our donors is like that. I get emotional when I think about it, just because they're doing such an impact. I'll tell a story about a student, RV, if you don't mind. As a student, she graduated from our LEC program, but wanted to finish up a second degree, and was working with Nick Testa. And he came to me and said she just needs a little bit of financial assistance. Well, because we had a scholarship, we were able to cover her tuition. But RV, this is where it gets me. Nick came into my office the other day and said, Dr. Harris, want to tell you how much this meant to the student. Apparently the student who is religious, of a Christian background, said she told Mr. Testa that she was just looking for a sign whether or not she should keep on. She just did not know if she could keep going. And then she found out she got a full ride. RV, she lost it. I mean, and I get emotional thinking about it, but it's because I had a donor who had such a caring heart to give back to our students that this student is able to stay on. It's just stories like that where it tears at your heartstrings, but you're doing so much good for these students. And they're not just 16, 17, 18 years old. We've got, students who are 60, 55 out here, and our donors are just doing good in a world that is so dark sometimes. These donors bring so much light to our students' lives that it's just indescribable. And our scholarship banquet, I don't know if this is a question, but is coming up on November 16th. And you want to talk about an emotional day when our donors get to meet their scholarship recipients. There are always tears shed because the donor puts a name with a face with the life they're changing. And it's so powerful to know that they can do that. And just education is the way we're going to make this world a better place. And our donors make sure that our students have those opportunities. Long-winded question, RV.
Oh, no, that's great. I want to talk about one. We have so many wonderful donors, but I'd like to talk about one in particular, Dr. John Williamson, who has donated 2 scholarships this year. Talk a little bit about that, because I think that's a wonderful story.
It is such a wonderful story, and he actually I call him Cousin John now. He's adopted me into the family. We think we might be distantly related, but it was so funny. RV, it happened last year on Martin Luther King Day. I got an email from this random person, and I normally don't check my email. It was Martin Luther King Day, but I was like, you know what? I'll just check my email, and I saw he said give him a call, and so I picked up the phone and called him. And lo and behold, I didn't realize it was actually a competition between CCCC and another college, and the other college never called him back. So, but he and I started talking, and he let me know that he was kin to my board chair, and he was a professor at Davidson for many, many years, has wonderful children who did not need the financial assistance, and he wanted to do some good. And he knew that he's a native North Carolinian, actually from southeastern North Carolina, but knew just he had it in his heart he wanted to do something. And to start RV, he sent in funds for the Dreamkeeper Fund and the Cougar Market. And then he decided, you know what, I'd like to do a scholarship for my late wife. And then I'd like to do one for Linda, my cousin. And the best part, RV, was we kept it a secret. And so I got to go over to Linda's house and let her know. And it's for a single mom. Linda was a single mom for a good part of her life when she was raising her son. And it just, it meant so much to her. And she's already spoken with her recipient for this year. And it's a single mom who's in our nursing program here and needed the funds to get by. But cousin John he's such a good person. I think he exemplifies what a donor is. It's just, a kind heart who believes in education. And I think, if you read the article you wrote and what he's experienced, that he knew he didn't come from much either. And so he's been blessed and he wants to pay it forward. And he knew Davidson also didn't need their money. Sorry, Davidson College. But he knew that the money he would give here would make a tremendous difference. Our four-year sister institutions, they're fantastic, but $1,000 scholarship there does not go as far as it does here. And he knew that. And he and I probably spent, oh my goodness, an hour and a half on the phone that Monday. I'll never forget it. It was a wonderful conversation. And from then on, it's just been, it was magic, I guess you could say. But he's an incredible person with an incredible background and story. And he's going to leave a legacy now that I don't think he ever intended. He realized he was going to leave, and now he's going to.
Well, and we have been blessed to have many donors like Dr. Williamson who have given of their money to our program, and we are just so appreciative to all of them for their donations. And we know there are a lot of other many good people who would like to help our students. And Emily, how would they go about doing that if someone would like to learn more about helping the students at Central Carolina Community College? What do they need to do?
They just need to call or email me. My phone number is 919-718-7230, or my email is ehare379@cccc, it's 4C's.edu. I'm distantly related to David Hare and Jimmy Hare, but we don't keep that I in there. So my name gets misspelled a couple of times, but that's ehare379@cccc.edu. And I'm happy to speak with you, learn more about your interest in the college, what you'd be interested in investing in, and learning just more about the person and seeing what we could get done.
And if you're interested in learning more about Central Carolina Community College, we invite you to go to our website at www.cccc.edu. And if you'd like to learn more about the foundation, just www.cccc.edu/foundation. Emily, you've been here quite a while now, just like me. Tell our listeners a little bit about what makes Central Carolina Community College so special to you.
Oh my goodness. Like I said earlier, this was not the career path I originally thought I was going to take, but it's when I was explaining to somebody the other day, how many people, I know doctors and nurses, and they are amazing and we train them. They get to save lives. I get to change lives. And I think to me, that is what is so incredible about CCCC is the opportunity students have when they come here to take their life in a completely different direction they ever imagined, to educate themselves, to elevate themselves to a job with family sustaining wages, and to break family cycles and be the first person in your family and first generation to go to college here. We have the programs here education wise and also student support wise to support students like that. We have the financial programs to help them out. Everybody here that I interact with on a daily basis, they're good people. And they're here for one reason, and that is our students. And I think that's what the part about CCCC that I'm always most drawn to is it's student first. We are here. That's the main reason why we are here. And, and I remind myself that daily when I'm going out seeking funding is that the more funding I can find, the more students I can help. And so that's truly it. It's a great place to be. I love it. I get to work with wonderful people like you. So, it's our students. I had a couple students stop by yesterday just to chat. I work a lot with our men's basketball team and some other students advising them, and they just stop by to chat. And, that's what we do. It's just to make sure these students succeed.
Well, it's a wonderful. Central Carolina Community College is certainly proud of our students. We're proud of our faculty and staff, and we're proud to be part of the communities of Lee, Chatham, and Harnett counties to serve our public and help them put them in positions of employment and helping their lives better, which make all of our lives better within our communities. Dr. Hare, it's always a pleasure to see you, and we're so grateful to you for all that you do for the college. And thank you so much. And listeners, we appreciate you being with us today on 4C Visions.